Welcome home. Come on in. You are welcome. Come on in. I'm waiting for it to come on so then I can get it over here. I think I got it. There we go. We just getting started. Where you at? Okay, come in quietly. All right, love you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Alethea. Hey, Lynette. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Cousin Charles. Hey, Rebecca. I think I just called you. Sorry. Thank y'all for tuning in. Welcome home for another edition of Home Again with your girl, Rita Fuller-Yates. I'm so excited today because I got to turn this down. Y'all know I be having too many things to do and think about. And then, you know, he tells me to do something. And I'll probably mess this up when I do this. Yep, I sure did. Because I'm going to push the wrong button. Oh, my God. This is not my leg. Ah! That's not my leg. He always tells me to do something. And he knows I'm going to mess it up because that's not my expertise. So in the house today, I definitely have an expert. As I said this week, we are talking about food and finance. And I have an expert, a finance expert in the house. All of you guys already know her. She is better known as Chandretta House Boykins. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned. Our both episodes will include cooking, the first one, and our second episode will be sitting down and talking with Chandretta about finance. We've had some challenges today, so excuse me a little bit. I'm a little discombobulated considering that we've had some changes, but we are rolling along as we try to do every week. As you know, we always like to give acknowledgement to people who stop and take care of us and help us and encourage us and support us. And as you know, DJ Marley McFly joins us on a weekly basis in order to bring the noise. But today, DJ is a little under the weather, considering the weather did hit us pretty hard this weekend. So we're just going to take it a little slow today. We're going to cook a little bit. We're going to enjoy being at home. And I just thank you for being on the ride with me. We're going to make creamy shrimp dip. Now, this was influenced by my girlfriend Laura. As I tell you guys all the time, when I go to people's homes for different activities, they make these fabulous meals. And I'm not too shy to ask them how they make it. And then I come home and try to make a rendition of it because you know you're always an ingredient off from when somebody else makes it. But then I start making it in my own routine, and I absolutely love the way I've learned to make it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it. It's a hot dip that you eat with nachos. I need to make it over the stove, so you're going to be along with me as I go through the process. I'm going to tell you first what ingredients you're going to need. Hey, Jahan, thanks for joining in. Hey, Rufus. Hey, Cousin Regina, thanks for joining in with me today. Hey, Yarik. Who is that? Yakira. Oh, you know I'm going to mess your name up. That's even my cousin. and she got Yakira as her name. Hi, boo. Okay, so the ingredients that you need in order to make this is shrimp, mayonnaise, Miracle Whip, sour cream, 3 cheeses, 3 different type of cheeses. We have a cheddar, a mozzarella, as well as a Parmesan cheese that we will drizzle on the top when we're all finished. I use a heavy cream. It's not recommended to use that in the regular recipe. I also use Philadelphia cream cheese. This is a soft. I would prefer hard, but this was all that the grocery stores had left. Imagine that. And then we have sour cream and onions. For seasonings, you're going to use garlic, seasoned salt, and crushed red pepper. Okay, and as well as lemon juice will drizzle inside the shrimp as they are cooking. So I just bought this, so let me remove the top, and then we're about to get started. How was you guys this weekend? I know that the winter hit us this month or this weekend, but it wasn't as bad as they had threatened us with, right? I was laughing because I said all of us made it to the grocery store, and there wasn't anything left in the grocery store today when I went. But we all did enjoy our time at home. And I laughed and said, God's got a way of getting his way all the time. We sitting here thinking that we sitting at home, but he really is creating great conversation at home. We're playing games. We're just spending time with one another just because we got bad weather. So it's always nice when family's together during these times. That's really what it's about. You'll probably see mine coming in the door late. So please pardon her. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start with my onions first because they take a little longer to cook than my shrimp will. And then I'll just infuse the shrimp in there. Turn the oven on medium, a little higher than medium. I'm going to use butter in order to cook the onions as well as the shrimp in. Now, of course, our chef told us at one time not to use butter. But for me, I like butter. So butter is going to be used today. So if you're a chef and you know that this is totally incorrect, just turn around. Just turn around. You ain't got to look at me use this butter. Because I know it's a little hood to use butter. But y'all know your girl likes butter because I'm a little hood. It's okay. It's all right. I love myself. It's all right. It's all right. Okay, so we're going to let that melt a little bit. Can everybody see me? Y'all have any questions? Are y'all enjoying y'all Sunday off? I would say just use a little quarter, maybe 2 inches is what. Would that be inches? I don't think this is called inches. Tablespoons? So that was an inch. So normally we use the 2. Okay, so we got that. So we're gonna let the butter melt, and then we'll put the onions in there. You guys get your questions together.
Nikki said butter is life, honey.
Honey, you know it, girlfriend. You know butter is life.
Somebody corrected me. It's tablespoon, not teaspoon.
Oh, tablespoon. See? Y'all the experts. Y'all just got your girl in here cooking because I love to eat. And when you entertain people, one of the things that they enjoy about coming over to your home or even returning is that somebody fed them. So that's half the battle right there. You add in a little bit of, my skillet wasn't very hot. That's why it's taking a little longer for my butter to melt. Let me get some salt and pepper. Seasoned salt. Can you grab me that pepper? And that's what's going to make it taste like a scampi taste. Once I put this pepper and just a little bit of pepper, not very much, more than the seasoned salt, more than anything. And then we're going to infuse some garlic in there. And this is what's going to give it more of a scampi taste dip. The dip will taste more like a scampi. You know there's only 3 ingredients that is required to make shrimp scampi. So we're going to infuse this. It's cooking a little slow. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't have the oven ready and prepped for you. But once we get started, it should work pretty quickly because everything else should be ready to go. So we just want to get the onions soft enough to where they lose a little bit of the crisp. Now I want you guys to get your questions together, your finance questions together, because the next segment we will be sitting down with Chandrita. She is a finance expert, a credit expert, an individual that understands the importance of improving our lifestyles through finance. Who knows how important finance is?
Tell them what you're cooking again.
I am cooking hot shrimp dip. And it's one of those things where everybody loves this dip because it's simple to make, but at the same time it has a great bite. So I'm just letting the onions cook a little bit. That's onions, butter, and garlic. And then I'm going to infuse the shrimp. What I did is I bought a bag of raw shrimp, and then I cut them up in, maybe for one shrimp, I got 3 pieces out of it. Now we're going to cook the shrimp for just a couple minutes. You don't want to overcook your shrimp. The best way to ensure that your shrimp isn't overcooked is as soon as it begins to turn pink, get ready to take it out. Because we're going to end up putting this in the oven and baking it, and it'll cook some more. So we don't want to overcook it. Are y'all dancing? We relaxing on this Sunday evening. It's cold outside. Nothing better than music, food, and family. My family's on their way over. We're going to play, we're actually going to paint today. We're going to all sit down and come up with some creative ways to paint cute things. Did y'all see that little contest that my husband and I did on Friday night? It was so much fun. See, again, as we get older, it becomes difficult to find things to do at home and have fun. But games is always a good way for family to sit around and to do together. And it can infuse all ages. So that's why it's fun to play games. But now, we can do art. Okay, so this is almost cooking. You see there, all of it is pretty pink. And considering we're going to finish fixing that, I don't want to. I'm going to go ahead and infuse a little bit of the red pepper, crushed red pepper. You just need a little shake of that, not much, because you don't want it to be spicy. And that can get very spicy. Next, we're going to use a couple of tablespoons of mayonnaise. A little more than a couple. I'll just use it all. The juicier the better, right? Creamier the better. Got a little bit of Miracle Whip. We put our mayonnaise in there. Now we're putting our Miracle Whip. Again, a couple. And we can go ahead and turn that down because, again, we do not want to burn any of the ingredients. We just really want to infuse them all together.
Somebody said, what part of the house did we paint in without making a mess?
What type of what?
Where did we paint that in the house without making a mess?
We did it on the table. Now this is sour cream. But I'll show you, we're going to take pictures of how we're going to set up with the family today. You know, our house is not that big, but it's pretty universal in how we can create different space for different functions. So then we just go ahead and toss it around. So we got Miracle Whip, mayonnaise, and sour cream in there right now. I would not suggest that this meal is healthy. Hey, little girl. They already knew you was going to be late. I told y'all she was going to be late, didn't I? They already know you. Okay, we're putting a little bit, a whole thing of Philadelphia cream cheese. Of course, I had to use the soft version. Would highly recommend you using the harder version. soft version is just, it cooks easier. But I really wanted to cook and bake down into it while it bakes. So now it's going to more or less cook with it, which is okay for what we're demonstrating today. I'm going to cook that, put that in there. We're almost finished. Told y'all it's a really quick, easy meal that's great, and everybody likes it. Put a little bit of cheese inside, and then we'll finish putting the rest of the cheese on the top. As well as a little bit of heavy cream, but the rest of the heavy cream, again, we'll put on top. So this is it. Now, of course, if you don't have time to put this on the skillet, you can always just go ahead and put it in the oven, and it will cook and bake down to the way you like it, to the consistency. Now, what happened when I did that is the inside still looked a little, the cheese didn't melt as well.
What kind of cheese?
So we use Kobe, mozzarella, and on the end, on the top, we will sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan. So it'll be 3 different types of cheeses that you use, including your Philadelphia cream cheese. This is so not healthy, but it is so freaking good. Okay, so now we're about to put it into the baking dish. Did I put everything I was supposed to put in there? Except that, oh, I gotta put a little bit of lemon. And that should have been really done over the shrimp. We're just putting that in there, add a little taste, and then it's done. Pretty much done, but then we're gonna make sure it melts all together with cheese on top. This is a really good, crazy dip. Don't make no sense how good it is. Okay. All right, y'all see that? Now it doesn't look real enticing, but it tastes amazing. Okay, here we go. Oven, I put it on 400. And then we're gonna put the cream on top. And I would just drizzle a little bit, not a lot. And then put that other cheese on top of that. And then we put it in the oven for 20 minutes to a half hour. And you eat it with your nacho chips or crackers. Or I've even seen people eat it with the bread, the little bread squares. Okay. Do you have any questions? Put a little bit more cream. Ooh. Who's this singing this song? Y'all know? Oh. Cook that for about 20 minutes to a half hour, and voila, you will have creamy shrimp dip. It's hot, it's easy to make, and your company will absolutely love it. Now, of course, to make the perfect amount, that normally would serve about 4 people. In order for you to make enough for a family of, say, 10, I would triple the amount that I used for today. Because again, everything I do is just in minimum so that I can teach you the process. Okay? Are there any questions, comments, or concerns before we get ready to go over and spend time with our guests? I'm so excited. While that's cooking, show ya. Hey! I told y'all I had a special guest in the house today. I try. I try to provide y'all with all the perfect resources to make sure you guys are well informed. Now, I have an expert in the house today. We want to spend time making sure you guys are well informed on finances. And Chandretta here is a financial expert. Is that the correct? Is that the correct?
That's the correct terminology.
Okay. And what is it that you do exactly so that they can understand how you're helping them today?
Perfect. I pretty much do all things finance. My baby doll, or the thing that really warms my heart, is credit education and credit restoration. But anything that relates to finance, money, credit, that's in my wheelhouse.
Well, I think one of the things that had me interested about learning more about your services was we look at finance as all monies, but it seems like finance today involves a lot more than just the money portion.
Definitely.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. It actually is a mindset. It actually is the relationship that we have with our money, with our credit, with anything that those things impact, which is almost everything.
Everything.
So it's our living situation, it's our bills, it's our debt, it's our attitude about how we deal with all of that. And so that's primarily what I deal with when I help my clients, is I deal with their mindset about money. I deal with their mindset about finance. I deal with their mindset about their situation, because their credit and their money impacts every area of their lives. So I don't just want to talk about your money for the sake of talking about your money. I want to talk about your money because what is it doing with your health? What is it doing with your emotions? How it's tied to every other area of your life.
See, we don't even think about that like that, because we literally, and it's true, because when our money isn't lined up, it affects us emotionally,
Yes.
and then that affects our health. So again, making sure that we know those triggers.
Absolutely.
So that's what you're educating us on today.
Absolutely.
So not only finance is finance, credit is included in
Absolutely.
finance. What other entities would help make sure we understand how we're helping them?
Banking, being bankable, those kind of things are huge. You know, a lot of savings, a lot of the population, they do the rush cards or the prepaid cards. They're not even bankable. They're not even bank educated. I call them, and this is no disrespect to anybody, I have a really good friend of mine, and I actually call her money dumb, because she's brilliant otherwise, but when it comes to anything financial, she's money dumb. It just does not click, which is why my focus is on education. And as a byproduct, you reap the reward of having excellent credit. You reap the reward of having a savings account, multiple savings accounts, because I believe in that. So you reap the rewards and the benefits of doing those things based on the education, because that's the gap. We have a knowledge gap.
Well, I think
Somebody said, what does it mean to be bankable?
Bankable means I'm not on check systems. I am eligible to open an account at any bank, any financial institution without any parameters. There's some second chance checking accounts or second chance bank accounts. So bankable means I can walk into a bank and be offered a service that any other person would be offered, no matter what my history in my banking relationships were.
Okay, so that is almost the difference between someone who doesn't have good credit, the feeling of not having good credit, and you can't just go anywhere
Bingo.
to apply. At that point, that person may not be bankable.
Yes.
Okay.
Or you can go anywhere and apply, but you're going to pay. So say, for instance, you have terrible credit. You go to a car dealership, they're going to give you a car because you're a cash cow, but you're going to pay 2 car notes for 1 car.
Okay.
So same thing with bank fees. They're going to give you an account, but there are going to be parameters on that account, and you may pay more in fees to have that account.
So what you're saying is that we end up in the same results as a lot of other people. We end up with a house. We end up with a car.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the lifestyle like everyone else.
Yeah.
But how we get there a lot of times is just not intelligent.
Yes.
And I believe that only because we just aren't taught all the time from childhood. I know me personally, right out of college, I had a charge-off credit card. And I constantly talked to my daughter about no credit. Don't get any credit. because again, the risk was
Sure.
I was in such a consequence
Sure.
at such a young age.
Sure.
Although I learned it was such a financial consequence that I couldn't really afford at such a young age.
Yeah.
So maybe if we understand, what do you suggest parents do to educate their children so they don't even start not knowing?
First, get educated.
So the parent
Parents
needs
have
to be
first
educated.
You know, I made this analogy the other day. I said, you know, it's poor teaching. It's stinking thinking to tell a person who's been struggling with weight loss that they don't need to get a trainer. Just do it themselves. It's poor teaching to tell people you don't need a financial coach. Just do it yourself. Well, if they could, they would. So, but they can't. So education, knowledge, information is the principal thing. Get that. And then you can teach back to your children. That's the gap in our community. That's the gap. Nobody sits down at the table anymore. That's why this is beautiful with your children being here and having a family time. Nobody sits down. There's a color TV in every room. Everybody's watching the same thing, but nobody's coming together.
Mm-hmm.
I tell this story. If you ride through Bexley in the evening, all the windows are open. There's a huge table. The family's sitting down at the table together. No TV is on. They're having a conversation. Mm-hmm. They're talking about what happened today. They're talking about what's in the news. They're talking about finance. They're talking about all things important to that family unit. You ride past some other neighborhoods. Everybody's in a different room. Color TVs on every room. Nobody's talking to nobody about anything because everybody's frustrated about their circumstance instead of talking about it and trying to get out of that circumstance. So the parents have to first become educated. They need a coach. They need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to help them. Then they take that information and they teach it back to the children. I became an expert by experience. My grandparents were very wealthy. They didn't teach my mother. My mother didn't teach me. So my teaching was don't go to college and get all those credit cards. Guess what I did? Went to college and got all those credit cards. Got into all that debt for a Jolly Rancher and a T-shirt because that's what they gave you in my day.
They did. They did. Right? Mine was a 2-liter Pepsi.
Did they? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yours lasted a little longer. So that was my teaching. That was my education. So the reason why I'm so passionate is because I know how I felt when I was becoming an adult and when I was growing out of that. I know how it made me feel to get those phone calls. I literally felt like they were threatening my life. Mm-hmm. I call them debt threats, DEBT, threats. That's how it felt. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Somebody says, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you have nothing extra, how can you afford to get a financial coach such as yourself?
So, first of all, you find somebody who's willing to take a free look at what you have. More times than not, we have the money. We just don't see that we have it. There's I tell people, if you take that $8 a day that you're spending at Starbucks and save that up, at the end of the week, you got $40. At the end of the month, you got $160. So there may be some monies that are there that you don't realize that are there. And so when you realize that those monies are there and the ways that you can cut costs or curb costs or expenses, you'll see that there is enough money for you to hire whomever you need to. But again, that's a mindset shift because there's a few things. The reason why I start with the mind is because your mindset is going to determine your mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
Your
discipline.
It is. Your belief system is going to determine your behaviors, and your thoughts are going to become things. So you have to change your mindset about what you don't have and start looking at what you do have. Everybody has a seed, regardless of the size. Everybody has a seed. My business is a faith-based business. The Bible says, unless a seed falls into the ground and dies, it lives alone. So if I got a seed and I never bury that seed, it just remains a seed. But if I have a seed and I invest it, I plant it, I bury it, then it produces much fruit. Mm-hmm. So everybody has to understand that no matter the size of the seed, you have to invest in you. Nobody's giving anybody anything for free. Trust me, experience was expensive.
Yeah.
Experience was expensive.
It is, but it's a lack of knowledge from the beginning.
It is.
So then you end up with a college education, and although you may make more than someone else, now you just got more debt.
That's it.
That you don't understand.
That's
or more income
that
you don't understand. So added degrees doesn't make you a financial expert. But I think, again, what the person, and that's one of the reasons why we do what we do to help people improve their lifestyles for free.
I love it.
Because there is a disconnect where although we understand we should invest,
Mhm.
we just aren't there yet. And all through that time, these children's and the generation today as well as tomorrow
Yes.
is going to suffer.
Yes.
But we can just sort of experts, we can have some elements of free.
Yeah.
And me and
Absolutely.
you have had that conversation
Absolutely.
even before.
Definitely.
I don't think you can do it where your business is suffering.
No.
But there has to be something that we say, hey, let's do
100%.
this for free. And that's why Chandretta came to that.
Listen, the reason why I do Motivational Mondays is because that's free. I often tell people, you don't have to pay me a dime. You could build your finances based on the nuggets I give you on social media. You don't have to pay me a dime unless you want to. You can take what I tell you and
Is
you
that
can
done?
start
Excuse
implementing
me, I'm
some
sorry.
things.
Is
You're
that
fine.
done, T? I'm going to need you going over there.